Shalom, and welcome to another lesson in the series, People of Israel Are Coming Home, Book of Joshua. Today we will be studying chapter 5, Perek Hey, Yehoshua Perek Hey. Chapter 5 is divided into four parts. The first is just a general sentence which appears several times in the book, and that is that the kings of, here it mentions as the Amorites or of the Canaanites, hear what has happened to the people of Israel, and their heart is melting. That is the first verse of the chapter, and it's like an introduction to what we're going to be seeing. But then, though we've already crossed the Jordan River, and we are already on this side of the Jordan River, the capturing has not begun yet. Instead, Joshua finds himself time for two things. Verses 2 till 8, Psukim Bet till Chet, talk about Joshua circumcising the people, Brit Milah. Since for 40 years the people of Israel have been walking through the desert, until those who have left Egypt passed away, and then all of those who were born in the desert were actually not yet circumcised, and Joshua decides to circumcise them. The next part of the chapter is from verse 9 to verse 12, Pasuk Tet until Pasuk Yud Bet, and that is the story of bringing an offering, the Passover offering, Korban Pesach. And the book tells us in verse 12 that from then on there was no more man. The man that came down from heaven stopped coming down from heaven, and there it was, the people of Israel eat from the grain of the land of Canaan, which will, of course, become the land of Israel. The final and fourth part of the chapter is verses 13 to 15. That is Pasuk Yud Gimel until Pasuk Tetvav, which deal with a story of the angel, or Joshua sees somebody in front of him, and he asks, are you on our side? Are you on their side? Halanu ata in Letzarenu? Do you belong to us? And this man holding a sword. And he says, of course, are you with us or are you with our enemies? And Joshua says, and the man says, no, I am Sar Tzva Adonai. I'm the captain of the Lord's army. And he says to me, Joshua, remove your shoes, because the place you're standing on is holy. So, if I repeat again, in short, we have the story of the kings of Canaan hearing about what has happened. We have the story of the circumcising, the story of the bringing the Passover offering, and the story of the man with the sword at the entrance to the land of Israel. And of course the question is, what's the connection between all of these? And what's the importance of all of these? It's quite obvious. As I mentioned, the people of Israel have crossed the Jordan River. They are about to come into the land of Israel. Now we're talking after already the spies have reached Jericho, and we are right now on the outskirts of Jericho, and the people of Jericho are probably sitting and watching, and they see that such a great mass of people are going through circumcision now. It's like the wrong time to do it. They know that what's going to be happening, and the rumors are going to go, and everybody's going to know what's happening there, and this will be the perfect time for them to attack the Israelites. So what is the logic of circumcising the people here and now, at this point? Either he should have done it right before they crossed the river, or wait a little bit. But circumcising all the people who are here and now, after they cross the river, before they're capturing Jericho, they're on the outskirts of Jericho, and the people of Jericho will know what's going on. And of course, why do they have to circumcise everybody right now? So of course we have to remember that circumcising and Passover offering, Brit Milah and Pesach, are two covenants. Not only are they two covenants, they are the only two commandments of the Torah, positive commandments. that if you do not perform them, you are to be cut off from the people of Israel. These are the commandments that are the covenant between the people of Israel and God. The circumcision is the covenant between God and the single person, and Passover offering, Pesach, is the covenant between God and the people of Israel. If we actually recall, in the book of Genesis, when God appoints Abraham, he signs two covenants. One with the animals, and he talks to them about taking the people of Israel out of Egypt, which is compared to the covenant of the Passover. And the other is the circumcision, where God tells Abraham to circumcise his whole entire family. And these are the two covenants between God and the people of Israel, between God and Abraham, between the God of Abraham and the people of Israel. So when they are about to enter the land, the only way they can be rewarded with the land is if they recall that entering the land is a covenant between the people and God. But I want to understand a little more deeply. What was the commandment of the offering of Passover? The offering of Passover was when the people of Israel were slaves in Egypt. Their masters are all around them. And God tells them to take the God of Egypt, to take a sheep or a goat, to tie it to their bed for 4 days, so that anybody who wants to know what's happening asks them, what are you doing with this sheep, with this goat? And they are to say, I am preparing an offering for God. What does this mean? This is an expression of freedom. So as the people of Israel are there under their masters, the Egyptians, they're here to say, we are not slaves in our soul to Egypt. We are free people to serve God. As they're entering Israel, as they're entering the land of Israel, they are circumcising themselves in front of the eyes of the people of Jericho, who know that they're about to enter the city of Jericho. And they are expressing another point. Here we are, servants of God. We are a free people. We don't have any fear, because God has promised us the land, because we are here not in our own name, we are in here expressing our faith in Hashem. We are here expressing that the land belongs to us only under the covenant between man and Hashem. Only under the covenant between the people of Israel and their chosen God, who chooses them. God says to them, Joshua says to them, here you are entering the land. How do you express the fact that the land is yours? Because you are chosen by God, by redoing the covenant, circumcision, and the Passover offering. And therefore, as they're entering the land, they once again take the initiative in their own hand. They circumcise themselves and their children. They bring the Passover offering, and from that day on, Vayishbot Haman Mimochorat. From that day on, the people of Israel did not receive any man. What did they eat? Here we have verse 11 and verse 12. Two Hebrew words for grain. In verse 11 it says, Vayochlu me'avur haaretz. They ate from the grain of the land. In verse 12 they said, Vayochlu mitfuat eretz Canaan. They ate from the grain of the land. What is the difference between avur and tvuah? There is a very great difference. Avur, from the Hebrew root avar, past. At the beginning, in that first year, they ate from the grain that they didn't plant by themselves. They ate from the grain which they found in the land. Then the man stops coming down. They have brought the offering of the Passover. They have circumcised themselves. They have expressed themselves that they are free people, and they understand and they recognize the fact that Here they are as the people of God. Then, from then on, they eat mitvu'at haaretz. Tvu'ah is from the Hebrew word bo, to come, the future. They will be eating from the future grain. Here we reach the final part of this chapter. Verse 13 till 15. Pasuk Yud Gimel to Tetvav, and it's a very strange story. Joshua is on his way to Jericho. He raises his eyes and he sees a man with a sword. And the man says, and Joshua is frightened, and then Joshua says, "Are you from our side or are you from the enemy's side?" And the man says, "I am the captain of the army of God. I just came." It doesn't really answer the question. Joshua falls down on his face, bows down and says, "What do you want?" And he says, "Remove your shoes." That's the whole story. That's what you came for? To tell him to remove his shoes? What is the whole concept here? It's very interesting to point out two things. When Adam was sent away from the Garden of Eden, it says that God put at the entrance of the Garden of Eden kruvim, which are angels, and a sword. When Joshua enters the land of Israel, he understands that in a way, he is returning to the Garden of Eden. The land of Israel is returning to the place where God had appointed man. Here you should worship me, le'ovda u'leshomra, to preserve it and to worship God through here. They are coming to the land of Israel. They are coming back to the Garden of God. They are coming back to the Garden of Eden. That's the first thing. The second point is that when Moses was told that there will be an angel who will guide the people and help the people, Moses at the time said, "No, I'm not interested. I want God himself." This is in the book of Exodus. Here, Moses is not around. God's leadership in Israel is through man's action. And here we have a very interesting point. The captain says to Joshua, "Shal na'alcha me'al raglecha ki hamakom asher ata omed alav kodeshu." Remove your shoe from your feet because you are standing in a holy land. Of course, we recall that God said to Moses the same thing when he was standing in the Mount Horeb, where he received the Torah. But there's a very great difference, interesting difference. In Hebrew, it says, "Shal na'alcha me'al raglecha." Remove your shoe off your feet. That's what it says here. By Moses, it says, "Shal ne'alecha." Remove your shoes. And once again, we are pointing out the very great difference between Moses and Joshua. Moses removed both shoes. He is totally in the hand of God, living a leadership of miracles. Joshua removes one shoe. Shal na'alcha. He is told to remove one shoe, because as we said several times, Joshua is cooperating with God upon capturing the land of Israel. And here he knows the angel came to Joshua and told him, "You are returning to the Garden of Eden. You are here in the leadership of an angel walking together with you, and you are cooperating with God. It's not all in the hands of God. You are to take the initiative. From here on, Joshua is to take the initiative, and God will be at his help." Shalom.